Episode 4, Solo in Seattle. So this is going to be another question and answer that somebody sent me on Facebook Messenger. Dear Solo in Seattle, how long do you wait for someone to change? And should you want them to or not? The question is, how long have you wanted to know this answer? How long have you waited to acknowledge that change needs to happen? How long have you sat there and realized that you are waiting for someone to change? Are you that someone? Or is this someone else? I would ask yourself, what is it that you're looking for someone to change in themselves? Because sometimes we're holding up a mirror. I know in my marriage, I waited a very long time. I don't even know how many years I waited. To be honest, I could probably still be waiting. In my last relationship, I didn't even know there was a problem. So that's the problem. When you ask the question, how long do you wait for someone to change? Well, I challenge you and my listeners to ask yourself, where are you at in life? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you managing? Are you coasting? Are you just moving through life? Are you a part of a routine? Where are you at? Because as we all know, change starts with self. Change starts with you. You can't wait for someone to change. You have to change. You have to stop wanting. You have to stop being willing. You have to stop understanding. You have to stop making excuses. You know how I know this? Because I did that. I did it for years and years and years. I coasted through life with the premise that we don't have any issues. We don't have any problems. That person doesn't bother me. I don't bother them. All good. Is it though? Because when you enter into a relationship or a marriage, you enter that with intention. You enter that knowing that you are willingly participating in building a future with this person. And after year 1, year 2, year 3, ... ask yourself, how many years has it been? How long has it been since you were happy in that relationship or in that marriage? When is the last time you talked to your spouse or your partner about feelings? I know towards the end of my last relationship, I asked some really hard questions, and I was not ready for the answer. No one is ever ready for answers. I know that I had checked out of my relationship several years before it ended. But it wasn't until I realized that the other person was checked out that it hurt. Sometimes we get so used to being with that person and moving through our day-to-day lives, we forget there's a problem. We forget that we're not happy. We forget that we're not fulfilled. Because what happens is there's these little moments, right? There are these moments when there's that glimpse of hope. There are these moments where you remember why you love that person. You have to travel through your memories to find your future. And if your future does not include making more memories, you have to resolve to that. You have to understand to give yourself grace, to give yourself openness, to give yourself kindness, to look inside yourself and figure out truly who you are. For a very long time, I used to use this mantra, and it was something along the lines of be the woman you always imagined. I don't even know who that woman is anymore because I've surpassed my imagination at times. Sometimes I sit here and I don't really understand how I've made it this far. Because I was waiting for someone else to change. I navigated a series of relationships based off of someone else. Everything that I did for years was based off of someone else. How they would react, how they would respond, how it would affect us, how it would interrupt our family system. So is the question really, are you waiting for someone to change, or have you changed? Because it's very easy to stay the same. It's very easy to become complacent, move through life, move through days, weeks, months, years, and then one day you realize you're still waiting. And what type of changes are we talking about? Are we talking about drive? Are we talking about education? Are we talking about employment? Are we talking about connection, intimacy, lack of intimacy, sex, lack of sex, routine? What are we talking about here? Because all of those things are relationship bombshells. When you are waiting for someone else to do something, it's irritating. When you are waiting for someone else to reach the point where you can understand, that's irritating. Are you walking around through life irritated, disappointed, dissatisfied? Where are you at? And the question, should you want them to change or not? Have you looked in that mirror? Have you asked yourself? Maybe they're waiting for you to change. Have you changed? What do you look like? And I'm not talking about physically. I'm not talking about appearance. I'm not talking about any of those things because that's hella loaded and I get triggered with that question to myself. Because of some just issues that I'm not ready to work through right now. However, you have to ask yourself, are you ready? Are you ready for the answers if you ask them? You have to understand, as we all know, it's a two-way street. So when you put your blinker on and you turn into that parking lot and you park, you open your door and you walk into that question, are you ready to change? You have to be ready. You have to understand what commitment looks like. And I'm talking about commitment to self. That really hard thing of choosing yourself. In each of my podcasts, I think I come back to this point because for a very long time, I did not choose myself. For a very long time, I didn't even know what was going on in my life. Where are you at mentally? Are you sitting in the same spot for a long time? Are you keeping yourself distracted and busy? Are you moving through life slower than usual? Are you moving through life faster than usual? When you're watching television, are you watching it or is it watching you? These are all very valid questions. And you have to be able to answer those questions to figure out where you're at and where you need to be. Because waiting on someone else is probably the worst thing you could possibly do. Waiting on someone else could potentially create more harm than good. You have to ask yourself, what is the point? What is the point to all of this? Why am I wanting to wait? Why do I need to wait? What about this scenario makes me want to do this? What about this scenario makes me want to continue life with this person? Do you make excuses for themselves or for yourself? Do you find that you go somewhere and they ask where your partner's at because they're never present? For years, that's what needed to change. In my last relationship, we started off inseparable. I mean, down to the grocery store. But that's also when I realized that our value system was completely different. It's amusing now, right? But in the beginning, there's so much you have to pay attention to. There really, truly is. And it plays along the lines of, you think it's going to change. It doesn't. And I'm talking about the simple thing as grocery shopping. If you are in the grocery store and you and this person cannot agree on a certain item because that item has certain ingredients in it, or isn't organic, or isn't cost effective, or isn't what you're used to, and you actually get upset about that, it's a red flag. Okay? It's not pink. But you subscribe to this illusion that, oh, that's something we could work through. No, those are deal breakers. Because it starts with those little mini nuances that build up to personality traits. And when somebody's personality traits need to be changed or augmented or adjusted or scrapped in general, you have to go back to the day-old question of value system. Does your value systems align? Because entering into and committing to a relationship where your value systems do not align creates conflict, creates stonewalling, creates placating. These things are all things that if you've been with somebody for enough amount of days, weeks, months, we all do it. We all damage our relationships by shutting down. That's stonewalling. Avoiding communication. That's stonewalling. So you waiting for someone to change could be a form of stonewalling. You could start by using the day-old therapist trick of using I statements. Being able to use I statements provides clarity in relationships. You have to be able to understand where you're at. So you should be able to convey your feelings in a way that is safe by introducing assertive communication. If you don't have communication, you have a problem. And this goes for anybody in a relationship that's new, where there's just constant conflict because there's misfires, or you guys have been together for a substantial amount of time and it's just easier to ignore or shut down. You should start doing healthy confrontation and using things like I feel, taking ownership on how you feel about a behavior or a situation. Then, not blaming the other person, because we tend to do that. You just describe out what the problem was without blaming. When this happened, I felt this way. And then you move on to how that made you feel. Did it hurt you to your core? Did you feel alone? Did you feel ignored? Did you feel unseen? Because that effect needs to be shown to this other person how it made you feel. Not how it made them feel, how it made you feel. This is about accountability. This is about asserting yourself in a way to have productive communication. And then you need to talk about your needs. We don't talk about that a lot. What do you need them to do instead of making them feel the way that they made you feel. You have to make sure you give that person space to respond. It is so easy to ask questions and not give pause. It is so easy to want an immediate response. Not everyone is quick on their feet. Not everyone can answer questions in the time that you need them to. So it's okay to ask these I statements and give the person time to respond. Because not everybody is able to communicate effectively. Again, stonewalling, shutting down. And, a lot of times it's unintentional, but a lot of times we do things to make someone else less angry or less hostile because we don't have effective communication, okay? You just try to smooth it over. You try to understand. You try to make excuses. But you have to think about yourself. You have to think about how these things make you feel. Because if you don't, there's no way around any of it. Then you circle back to the question, how long do you wait for someone to change? How long should you want them to change? Or should you not? You have to find yourself. You have to look within yourself. And you have to understand yourself. What is it that you need? What is it that you want? And express yourself in a way that you're able to get a response that doesn't smooth over the situation, that doesn't pass over your feelings, that actually meets your needs. Because rifts are created and they're hard to close. So I challenge you, and I challenge my listeners, to work on those I statements. It is so important to be able to understand how to express your feelings and your beliefs and stick with it. Stay the course. And there's several ways that you can go about this. Not everybody feels comfortable talking about their feelings, but you should get comfortable talking about your feelings, because how else will someone else know that they hurt them? It's okay to be open. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to let someone know they hurt you. I hope that I answered your question in a way that you can move forward and that you can find a really good, effective communication style to figure out a way to communicate with your partner or your spouse and feel seen and heard. Because when you don't feel seen and you don't feel heard, that hurts. So, how long do you wait for someone to change? Circle back and think about who needs to make the change. Is it you or is it the other person? Thank you for listening.